Good morning again. Or whatever time of day it is for you. Hey. Actually managed to get up early and get off early today, so that's good. I've been trying to do this, get up this early for weeks, but it's just been one thing or another every night that keeps me up a little later and makes me wake up a little later, or just spend a little more time getting ready in the morning. So it's nice to have a good, relaxing morning. You know, I don't really care if I have coffee or not, because I enjoy drinking coffee. Like, I really like the taste of it. It doesn't really affect me too much, but I'm starting to think I've gotten used to coffee more, because it used to make me sleepy a little bit, or at least a little tired. Now it doesn't really do that. It doesn't make me hyper like it does for some people, but if I drink it pretty early in the morning, I've noticed it is starting to help me wake up a little quicker. And so I think that's also making me a little more talkative in the car on the way to work. But you know, I like coffee, but I don't want to drink it so much that I start kind of getting dependent on it, because I've known people who just like are basically non-functional until they drink a cup of coffee in the morning. And I definitely don't ever want to become that. Oh, fireworks stand. So there's a fireworks stand on the side of the road here that is a pretty, well, it's not a stand, it's a warehouse. But it's open starting today. Oh, so I might have to go by there later. You know, I do enjoy fireworks, and I always had fun lighting them off. But as I've gotten older, I have definitely realized that it's dangerous. So I'm not as cavalier with lighting off fireworks as I used to be. Because, yeah, like, teenage boys will just light off anything you let them. And I was never one of those people who would be dangerous with them. Like, I always only fired off fireworks according to the instructions, like in the tube if they were meant to be in the tube, or however they're meant to be handled, and then I'd run away real fast after lighting them so that nothing ever happened. And so I've never had an incident with fireworks before, but it's definitely something that is very possible, and something I kind of keep in the back of my head now. It's just like, yeah, fireworks can go wrong very quickly if you aren't careful. And so I haven't really been launching as many the past few years. Like, I'll still get some, and we'll still go and go to my wife's parents' house, and because they live out in the country a little ways in a more wet area, so they're always good for fireworks. And we always kind of get together with her family on 4th of July and light them off. But Yeah, it's interesting how your perception on that kind of changes over time too, because like as a kid, as a real little kid, a lot of times you're scared of them because they're loud and bright and all, but like as kind of a preteen, I guess, kind of, 8, I think for me it was around 8 I really started liking them, and then up until I was like 12, it was just like, oh yeah, those are so cool, but not old enough to light them off. So like we did, some sparklers, Roman candles. I think I got to light a couple fountains or something, but like you couldn't do the artillery shells. But then once I turned like 14, 15, I was old enough that my parents let me light the artillery shells when we would do fireworks. And that was fun, but then I got to like 18, 19, I was just out there lighting them the whole time pretty much. Then I turned about probably 22. Because it was after I got married. It's probably around the time that we were expecting our daughter. So around 22, 23, I started thinking, I don't really want to get injured. So I'm going to back off and let everyone else have a little fun, but I still light them off here and there. But I let everybody else kind of mainly light them. But last year, because it's mainly my in-laws and my wife and I and our daughter, and then her sister and her family. So there's 6 adults, and so the 3 guys, me, my father-in-law, and my brother-in-law, were all lighting them off a little bit. But my brother-in-law he works in the medical field, and so he is not a big fan of fireworks and won't light anything bigger than a sparkler or a Roman candle most of the time, and even then he doesn't really like Roman candles, but because he's had to deal with firework burns before, and if he loses his hands, he loses his job, so can't really afford to injure his hands. So he's a lot more careful. So it's mainly my father-in-law and I lighting them, but sometimes we get some other family down and they light them off. But it's a fun thing. And it's funny how, like, I feel like most countries that I've met people from they all say like they have like one holiday where they light off fireworks. And like, because I don't remember what it is. I don't remember if there's one for Canada. I feel like there was, but I can't remember because, yeah, but I know for I don't know if it's the whole UK or just like England or whatever, but I don't remember. It's like Guy Fawkes Day or something. It's their fireworks day, and then there was But anyway, it's just one of those things where I feel like everyone kind of likes fireworks and knows they're fun and likes doing them, but everyone also seems to realize that they're dangerous, and so they limit them to only 1 or 2 days a year traditionally, which I guess, I mean, you can do fireworks any day. I mean, Disneyland does fireworks almost every night when the weather's good, at least. So it's like, yeah, it's interesting. Oh, but yeah, I've always enjoyed it, and I've thought about, like kind of playing around with them. When I was a kid, I loved the poppers. I would pretend they were like grenades for my little action figures, and kind of throw them around, play with them. A little, what is it? Silver nitrate, I think. It's like a bunch of rocks coated in silver nitrate or whatever. So there's a spark and then it goes off. Or I think it might go off on impact. I can't really silver fulminate. I think that's what it is, silver fulminate. Because I remember seeing a Nile Red video where maybe it was on a podcast he was on, but anyway, I remember him talking about gold fulminate, which is even more violent, but uses gold, so it's incredibly expensive. Whereas silver, still expensive, but a little less so. Anyway, I am at work now, so I will continue this later. And we're back. Oh, I was kind of thinking, just I've seen a lot of stuff on the news and just in politics as a whole recently, I see a lot of people kind of associating religion, especially devout Christians, just kind of associating them more and more with far-right beliefs and extreme patriotism. And, it's just kind of something that you see a lot living in Texas, at least for me, is I've seen a lot of people who kind of try to mix their religious beliefs and their faith with kind of patriotic themes. And coming up on the 4th, I was just thinking about that because it's very clear to me kind of throughout the New Testament and just a lot of the Bible that you should not, Christians are not Christians just are not meant for, Christianity is not meant for politics, because there is not a way to kind of mix, just from what I've seen, to mix patriotism and faith and have your faith be unaffected by it. And just an example of that is the Pledge of Allegiance, which, since it's only really recently in American history that the Pledge of Allegiance has even been something that is found in schools, because it was only after the 9/11 terrorist attacks and the laws passed in the wake of those. Specifically, I believe it's in the Patriot Act, but I can't remember for sure. But I know it's less than 25 years old that the Pledge of Allegiance has been recited in public schools on a daily basis. And that's something I just grew up with, that I didn't know any different. I didn't know any better, so I just thought it was normal. But that's something that I knew some people and had some friends who did not recite that when it came up in the mornings at school because of their religious beliefs. And I thought, oh, that's weird. I didn't really know that. I didn't know what to think of it. I just thought, I thought it was just something everybody did. But when you actually kind of read into a lot of Jesus' teachings, we're not meant to serve and make oaths and pledges to earthly kingdoms, is how it's put. But really, we're not on earth to be subservient to somebody else in that way. We shouldn't be pledging ourselves to serving institutions that are not really any institutions. We should only be pledging ourselves as Christians to God. And I think that it's something, it kind of shows a bigger shift in that people are kind of associating Christianity and being a Christian with being patriotic, and people are mixing that in U.S. politics. And I think that is really hurting the church, because we should not be imposing our beliefs on others. And we should not be trying to use our faith as an excuse for things we want to see done. Tax policy is not about what you believe is going to happen after you die. And it's not about your sins. And it's not about anything in the Bible. Like, tax policy is something that is your own personal opinion and your own budgetary concerns. But people have started equating things with ridiculous other things. I've heard people call socialism satanic in a very serious context. Like, it is fringe people online almost always, but it's still a real problem we need to start looking at, because capitalism has absolutely nothing to do with Christianity in any way, and if anything, it's anti-Christian, because Christians are supposed to give to their neighbor without reward and are supposed to consider people more than profits. Like, there are reasons that in the Middle Ages Christians weren't allowed to charge interest on loans, is because Christians are supposed to put people and others' well-being above their own profit. Like, just, I don't think that is correct. I don't think that you can't be a Christian and make money in a free market way, but I think that the placing your profits above the well-being of your employees or consumers is definitely something that should not be done by any religious person at all. Really anybody, but people who are Christian have very, very clear rules that are written down, very easy to read, that say to treat others well. And just anytime you consider harm or any kind of intentional disproportionate effect on people, just a side effect of doing business, you're doing something wrong. But there's just more and more people who are trying to convince Christians that they should, as part of their belief system, consider traditionally conservative political beliefs part of their religious system. And that is probably about one of the worst things going on for Christians in the U.S. today. It isn't people trying to say that what you believe is made up, because that's happened forever. It's people trying to twist what you believe to make themselves the important part of what you should be focusing on. And that is something I think people are just letting happen way too much, is they are letting people insert themselves into Christianity and create this kind of system around making conservatives more important than your actual faith. And I really struggle with whether or not I should even vote for this person, because it just seems like the more involved in politics it gets, the further away you get from really caring or having any relevance to faith and love for God and your fellow man. There is no way you can emphasize love while at the same time trying to prove everyone else is wrong. Maybe it's just that modern politics is messed up. Maybe it's just that you can't mix them at all. But I really struggle to be involved in both. I think it is important to get your opinions and your beliefs out there as a Christian, but it's hard to find where the line is. But I definitely think the line is crossed when you start putting your country above your faith. That's all the time I got for now. Alrighty, I'm back. Back to what I was talking about before. You know, one of the things that I just absolutely cannot stand is when people who claim to be Christian are racist, whether they admit to it or not. Just like, that has got to be one of those things that it's just like, not just is it blatantly obvious that it's wrong, but everyone knows it's wrong. Everyone says it's wrong. And there's just, I don't see how anyone does anything racist while in any way thinking that they're doing something right. Like, just surely people have to know that what they're doing is wrong when they do racist stuff. Like, I just do not understand that at all. And just anytime people just take a look at somebody else and then start accusing them of things without any reason or evidence or proof of any kind. Just when you look at a group of people and you say something about them that is just obviously, like, anytime you say all of these people are terrorists, anytime you say all of these people are criminals, just, what are you doing? Like, if you do anything like that, just stop and take a look at yourself and consider what people are going to think of you when they see all people like you. There are just as many people of every color of skin doing everything in this country. And race isn't even a real thing. Like, humans all come from a common ancestor, and we're all from the same place. There are, like, different waves of people at different times that left. But there's not any difference, is it, between us, really? Like, there are very slight things, but if you take somebody born anywhere in the world to any set of parents and give them the same exact parents in the same exact place at the same exact time, they're going to end up the same. Like, people's values are not based on the color of their skin. It's what's taught to them. People's attitudes are not based on the color of their skin. It's what's taught to them and what they learn. And just genetics does not affect how you should socially treat people in any way. Treating everyone based on the color of their skin in a different way is like treating all short people different, or all tall people different, or all people with blue eyes different, or all people with short hair different too. Like, just if somebody is born with something, then there's nothing you can do about that. So why should that affect the way they behave outside of that? Like, if you take any example of something you're born with and start stereotyping people based on it, people are gonna just immediately call you out and say that it's ridiculous and wrong. If you start saying every single person who is left-handed has something wrong with them, that's obviously untrue. And people used to do that, I guess. I guess humans just are idiots. Every single one of us just wants to stereotype, and people just lean into that because they would rather hate people than love them. And it's so much easier to find common hatred than it is to find common joy, that's all people focus on these days. Oh, sorry, that's a bit melodramatic, but it's just anytime we get in a real strong news cycle about a bunch of different issues, I get real worked up about it because every single person starts blaming the people they hate for it, whether it's Republicans, Democrats, white people, black people, Mexicans, Middle Easterns, just people always just try to find someone to blame instead of actually taking action on what's going on. They'd rather spend an hour discussing who is at fault than spend 5 minutes discussing an actual solution. And it all comes back to just politics being nothing but a money game these days, and whoever has the money has the votes. So all that matters is that you talk about what gives you money. You know, I was going to talk about before all of this that to me it's very hard to even reconcile Christianity with the idea of being a soldier, because Christians are often described as soldiers in a way in the Bible, and there are obvious exceptions, and not exceptions, but obvious kind of rules around being a soldier, and that just because you kill somebody doesn't mean it's wrong if you're doing it for the right reasons. Because, I mean, in the Old Testament, God had to implement death penalties for certain things, but the idea that death penalties should still be around is something I disagree with in the first place. Because I see that it was different times, but then that's why Jesus came, and that's why the whole New Testament was written. Is that we're no longer bound by those old laws. But one of the most ridiculous things is when people say anyone deserves to die. Because it is very clear that the penalty for sin is death. If you sin, you deserve to die. Whether you lied, whether you cheated, whether you stole a chocolate bar from the store or stole $1 million from the bank. All of that is sinning. And it is absolutely ridiculous to think for even a second that there should be a death penalty for any one instance of a sin, in my opinion, because it's very clear that sin and death is what we deserve, but the entire purpose of Jesus coming was to give us life and to bring us back from sin. And so the whole idea is just against the gospel that we should immediately kill somebody who commits a sin. And laws are made around societal structure. But even if laws do follow with Christian teaching, that doesn't mean that those laws are guaranteed to be right. I think too many people think that just because something is written down on the books means that there's no other way around it. And just because there's something that's historically done a certain way means that it has to always be done that way. Trying to make anybody follow what you believe just because you think it's right is violating their personal ability to choose. But we do have to have some rules or else it's not safe. It's a hard line to find, but there shouldn't be hard and fast rules without any nuance at all. Because you can't just let people invade your country without retaliation. You can't let somebody be a serial killer and not make sure that they are prevented from doing that again. But the way you do that is up to you. You can't make a law that says every single person who kills somebody else deserves to die. Because there's just not that much simplicity in the world. Things are never black and white. More and more we're kind of edging out that gray to where there's only two sides to any issue. But there needs to be more middle ground found all around us. We need to take a look at things that happen and actually make decisions and action based on the issues at hand, not some broad ideal that is never going to be attainable in real life. We have to just take a look at the world around us and see that it's not perfect, but we need to do the best we can, not just talk about trying to be perfect until all that's left is the ashes that we let burn down around us because we didn't think they were worth saving. I hope that one day I'll be able to see a more stable world where things are actually being done like that, and that's the norm, is finding middle ground and coming to compromise on issues so that everyone ends up better in the end, because that is possible. You can find a way to solve problems where people get along and both end up better for it. There doesn't have to be a loser with every single decision that's made. But more and more it's just feeling like people don't care about the other side. They just want to be right. And they want the other side to be wrong. They don't care about the people they hurt in the process. They just care that the end result is what they want. Oh, I'm sorry for all the dramatic talk and doom and gloom, but I'm done now. So, I'll be back in a few minutes in a couple hours for me, a few seconds for y'all. Hopefully I'll be more cheerful. Alrighty, back to the last section of the day here. Oh. Took me a second to get the key in that time. You know, I am a fan of manual cars. I think I've said that before. I mean, this is a automatic, but I prefer manual. It's just not convenient to find. Next time I'm looking for a car, I'll probably try and find one. Well, for myself, I don't want to make my wife drive a manual if we need to get her a new car, but her car is pretty new, so she should be good for a while. Oh. But anyways. Yeah, I was just thinking about the last car my wife had before her current one was a push to start. Like, you had the button and the key was just a little RF tag, essentially. Which, if there was still like a physical key option, but I'm not sure where it went. But yeah, usually it was pretty much just an RF tag. But I don't like that as much, you know? I just kind of, I prefer the physical key, and I like the stick. I don't like when you turn the car, you change gears with the little knob. I don't like twisting a knob to change gears. I like shifting with a full gear shift, and really I prefer the manual gearbox, doing the full thing. But yeah, I guess it's just one of those things that's becoming less common, having it like that. Because I've seen more and more cars where it's not. I'm a little tired. I'm usually this tired in the morning, not in the afternoon, but yeah, it's just becoming one of those things where it's trending toward kind of buttons and displays rather than large levers and handles. Which I definitely get that, but I much prefer the tactile nature of the gear shift and all of it kind of having more levers and physical actions rather than digital ones, even if it's just for show. It's one of those things that just is one of those, even if I know that the gear shift is essentially just a dial and they've just put a lever in it that has no real direct action on the car itself, I'm fine with that. I just want the lever, you know? I guess that's doesn't really make any sense because it just takes up extra space for no reason, but I'm a little old-fashioned like that in some things. But yeah, I miss having a stick shift. I liked having a little more control over it. I mean, I tend to especially miss it when I'm driving my wife's car, because her car, the automatic shift on it is, I don't know if it's something you can change or if it's just fully set the way it is, but it likes to stay in a really high, or it likes to stay in a lower gear. And I like to switch around. When I drive a manual, I like to switch closer to a 2.3, 2.4 1,000 revolutions per second. Or minute, not second, minute, that'd be crazy for seconds. But yeah, around 2.33-ish. Kind of, yeah, below 2.5 really is what I'm getting at. Her car doesn't like to switch until around 3, which I know it's just because it's a newer car with a bit of a different engine and all. Because my Mustang, which was the manual I drove all the time, was a V8, or was it? No, it was a V6. But it had it was a very different, much older car. And so I know it had a very different needed range on that. But even then, I just prefer kind of keeping it lower RPMs rather than higher. I just don't like the car to be too loud for one thing, but also it just uses a little more gas. Not too much more, but I do like this truck because it stays right around 1.5 most of the time. I mean, I never drive it above 70 miles per hour now anyway, but even at 70 it's about 2. So it's a little more fuel efficient, I guess. I know this truck is not very fuel efficient at all compared to any modern car though. But it is a low emission. But that's as of 23 years ago. So it ain't saying much. But, you know, cars are something that I've never known too much about, and I still don't know very much. But I'd like to learn a little bit more and kind of figure them out. I feel like it'd be nice to know kind of how to repair everything. I mean, I've replaced the brake calipers on this truck. So I've replaced my own brakes, my brake calipers, and then just, I think it was one, maybe it was 2 of them. Anyway, and then my dad taught me how to change the oil, and I've done it a couple times, but I mean, that's one thing I just kind of, like, it's not really worth it. It doesn't take much. But I usually change my own air filter, and I need to do that soon. Air filters out here get kind of full a little faster, but it's not too bad. And there's somebody with very loud music and their windows wide open, so hopefully that doesn't come over on the podcast, because I don't want to get copyright struck for music, and it's just really annoying anyway. Okay, they're going away. I'll bet you never guess what that was. Yeah, I know that a lot of guys who are into cars like all that loud stuff, but I mean, just get over it. It is just horrible to everybody around you. Like, there's just no reason for a loud car like that. All it does is cause hearing damage. Like, it does not help your car at all to be loud. If anything, trying to push your car to where it makes a lot of loud noise is going to hurt the health of your engine long term. Oh, but yeah, I've thought about trying to do some more stuff manually on my car, but it's just takes a lot of time and money that I do not have. So I think for now I'm just gonna stick to automatic on letting everybody else take care of it at the shop. Oh, that's all the time I got for today.